Nigerians across the country were excited when Bamishe Ajetumobi was captured. This man and his beloved wife, Elizabeth, defrauded investors out of over 20 billion naira through a scheme that promised quick returns. This wasn't just your ordinary Ponzi scheme. It was one of the most intricate operations to target unsuspecting investors. In the criminal underworld, some of the most infamous scams have been carried out by couples who capitalized on their trust and charm to defraud innocent victims out of millions. In today's video, we dive into the stories of Nigeria's top scamming couples. These couples weren't just partners in life, but also partners in crime. In 2016, Bamishe Ajetumobi was a banker with a good reputation among his colleagues. That same year, he started asking his friends and co-workers to invest in his new business, promising a consistent 10% monthly ROI. He claimed that the money will be channeled into microloans for small businesses and traders in Nigeria, who are not favored by the traditional banks. By 2017, Bamishe left his banking job and together with his wife, Elizabeth, they launched Imagine Global Solution Limited, a company that aimed to transform micro-lending across Africa. Imagine Global expanded rapidly, offering loans between 10,000 naira and 100,000 naira and requiring investors to provide a minimum of 100 million naira. Investors saw their money grow quickly, at least on paper, as Imagine Global boasted a portfolio of over 90,000 investors within 5 years, with funds surpassing 11 billion naira. But the story took an unexpected turn from this point. In 2021, Imagine Global began to delay payments. Investors who had once received regular returns started missing their payouts. When the credit alert stopped, concerns spread quickly. Large investors demanded an emergency meeting, where Bamishe and Elizabeth assured them that this was a temporary setback, even slashing ROI rates to 7% to reassure them of future payments. But the problems continued. By October, social media was flooded with desperate posts from investors claiming they had been scammed. Rumors spread that Bamishe and his wife Elizabeth had fled the country with investors' funds. Investors, including some prominent Nigerians, joined a lawsuit to recover what they could, and a court ordered Bamishe's accounts to be frozen, which amounted to 22 billion naira of investors' funds gone. Bamishe and Elizabeth fled the country, evading authorities, until Interpol captured Bamishe in Ivory Coast. On his return to Nigeria, he faced a 12-count charge in court, including conspiracy and obtaining money by false pretense, a charge that holds severe penalties under Nigerian law. His wife Elizabeth remains at large. Eventually, Bamishe Ajetumobi was locked up at Ikoyi Correctional Services, with his trial scheduled for November 29, 2024. 46-year-old Darlington and and 35-year-old Jasmine seemed like they had everything: beautiful love life with wedding planned and a bright future together. But behind the scenes, things weren't as rosy as they appeared. According to the US Department of Homeland Security, the couple had been running an elaborate romance scam targeting elderly Americans, leaving a trail of broken hearts and empty bank accounts. Starting around 2015, Darlington and Jasmine created fake identities to prey on vulnerable Americans. Their usual targets were widowed or lonely elderly people. They connected with their victims through online dating sites and social media, posing as perfect partners. Over time, they used sweet words and fake promises to build trust, creating a romantic illusion that drew their victims in. Once they saw that their victims were logged in, they dropped the act and pressured their victims into sending thousands, sometimes millions of dollars to bank accounts that Darlington and Jasmine controlled. In one case, they didn't just rely on online manipulation, they went even further, meeting a victim in person. According to investigators, Darlington and Jasmine managed to convince this victim to let them take control of her bank account. They even drove her to a bank in Houston to facilitate the transactions, showing just how far they would go to exploit their victims. Over 7 years, from 2015 to 2022, their scheme netted a jaw-dropping $3.1 million. 13 elderly Americans fell victim to this fraud, losing not only their money, but also their sense of trust and security. Now, Darlington and Jasmine face the grim possibility of 30 years in prison for each count of mail and wire fraud, along with conspiracy. And it doesn't stop there. Darlington is also charged with aggravated identity theft and fraud linked to access devices, charges that carry an additional 10 years and a mandatory 2-year sentence if convicted. What started as a fairy tale wedding turned into a nightmare. Be careful who you trust online, and remember to look out for warning signs because, as the story shows, even the closest relationships can sometimes be built on lies. This is Blessing Ezekiel and her husband Joseph Richard Ufot. Early this year, they were arrested by the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. This couple carried out one of the largest job scams in recent times, impacting nearly 7,000 innocent people. How did this happen? 27-year-old Blessing posed as a personal assistant to a senior government official. Using that claim, she offered people secure jobs in Akwa Ibom State Civil Service for just 4,800 naira each per interested person. Thousands of desperate people paid, got letter of employment, and waited for their jobs. To top it off, Blessing and her husband launched a fake NGO called the Child Support Foundation. She claimed that this NGO was sponsored by none other than UNICEF. With just a 1,000 naira registration fee per child, she convinced more than 5,000 people to register. For months, people were hopeful, waiting for job postings, grant payments, and other benefits they were promised. But as time went by, no jobs, no grants, no money. Suspicion grew, and eventually they started to question Blessing. The scam was unraveling. On July 22, Blessing and Joseph were finally caught along IBB Way in Uyo. The NSCDC commandant, Engineer Eluwade Eluyemi, described their actions as criminally inhuman. The commandant assured that the couple will be made to refund all monies extorted both from victims of employment scam and victims of the fraudulent NGO scam, after which they will be duly charged in court for their crimes. Imagine booking a flight to visit your family overseas, only to find out at the airport that your ticket is worthless. That's exactly what happened to hundreds of victims in Canada who fell victim to an airline ticket scam. Last year, Canada police announced the arrest of this couple, Gbemisola Akinrinade and Adebowale Adeatu, as the masterminds of this ticket scam that stole over $500,000 from more than 250 people. Gbemisola and Adebowale created airline tickets that looked very legit. They would then resell these tickets to travelers at discounted rates, mostly to people traveling to Africa. Most buyers were eager to find affordable flights, and because the tickets seemed legit, customers trusted them. But as these passengers got to the airport, they realized their ticket was a fake. Canadian police soon began to receive many complaints from their victims. The police followed the money trail, which traced back to Gbemisola and Adebowale. The couple was charged with obtaining money by false pretense, unlawful use of a computer, and conspiracy to commit an indictable offense. They are locked up behind bars until their next hearing. Another harsh reminder that scammers can appear as legitimate businesses. To avoid similar traps, always research the booking platform and use secure payment methods. Share this video to that friend that will be traveling down to Nigeria this December. This couple also went the fake job route. They tricked people into paying millions for job offers that didn't exist. The mastermind, Augustine Enamigbai Omogboy, who falsely claimed to be a former State House staff member, teamed up with his partner Eliojo Josephine Edakwo and his friend Kingsley Onu to execute this scam. Each of them claimed they had the power to get people hired as director generals in prestigious agencies like the Nigerian National Petroleum Commission and the Federal Road Safety Corps. They promised desperate job seekers appointments into high-level positions for a fee, of course. Victims were told they needed to pay for processing. Many victims shared heart-wrenching stories. One victim said he was promised a role as the Director General in the Ministry of Communication but had to pay 5 million naira upfront. The scam continued as they kept asking for more and more money, using new excuses each time. The syndicate managed to steal over 22 million naira in total. The EFCC received multiple petitions and finally cracked down on this syndicate. The three criminals were arrested at different times in 2024 and have now confessed valuable information that will help investigators bring them to justice. The EFCC is wrapping up its investigation, and soon, this criminal couple will face justice in court. As we have seen, no one is immune from falling victim, but we can all take steps to protect ourselves and our loved ones. Share this video with someone who might benefit from knowing the signs of a scam. Also, like and subscribe to help this channel grow. Remember, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Stay safe.